Today on In the Woodyard, he's here again. He can't get enough of this place. This is Craig, right. And you're from Illinois?
That's correct, yep.
And what town?
I'm from Redbud, Illinois.
Where is that?
It's about 42 miles south and east of St. Louis.
Oh, okay. That's why he's got the little bit of an accent.
Yeah.
Because the northern part of the state has the Chicago, hurry up, get out of my way accent, and you guys have the nice accent.
Yeah, we just go with the flow.
We're going to talk about firewood. Isn't that a surprise?
Yep.
So Craig drove up here because on yesterday's video,
yep,
even though we just shot it, was the chainsaw. He bought that big steel Magnum 9000
MS880 steel chainsaw with a 25-inch bar,
and it's about 1,000 horsepower. So that's pretty cool.
And a boat anchor.
So if you didn't watch that video, go back to yesterday's video and you'll see. Yeah, the boat anchor. No, but today we were talking as we were looking at the saw and stuff. We're talking about our firewood businesses, and I thought, well, that'd be a nice kind of little talk we could do. So we're going to do another video for today, just for you, about our firewood businesses. Mainly his. You know about mine, but you don't know about his. So when did you start doing firewood?
I've done firewood pretty much all my life. I got started when I was younger, and then when I started selling firewood was about 7 years ago when my dad...
Same as me, about the same time, yeah.
My dad was starting to burn, big oak trees, and I saw money in there, and I checked out a few YouTube videos back then about firewood, and I saw that there could be money made. And back our area, we don't have a lot of people that sell firewood. The main reason is a lot of people have outdoor boilers. I live in a very small town. It's actually outside of Redbud, called Prairie, but we don't have a post office. So
most people are cutting and burning for themselves.
Yeah, most people. It's a lot of family farms out there, still small. There are some big farmers, but...
So who was the first YouTube person that you watched? Who do you remember who it was, or one that you liked?
I don't remember back then, but when I got started real recently, like watching videos and stuff and trying to learn more, because you can always take some information from somebody's video and use it to your advantage, which was like Dan Shifty, Back 40. Yep. And then Outdoors with the Morgans, Drew Harris, he's out of Tennessee. And I got into that to research the log splitters. I was actually going to get out of firewood, but the IRS was going to tax me after I sold my log splitter.
Might as well spend the money, right?
And I sold my log splitter last year, and I also sold my dump truck. And when I found that out from the accountant, I decided to get back into it. So I did a lot of research. For my needs, I don't have the long poles that, most of my stuff is what everybody would call tree service wood, a lot of knots and stuff like that. And I just thought for what I was doing, where I could position the wood and not be in the cradle was going to be better for me for what I wanted. And I had to spend the money, so I figured why not get what I want.
So you bought a Wolf Ridge, right?
Yeah, I called Wolf Ridge, Chris at Wolf Ridge, and I ordered a 28 high output, dark sapphire. It has the Magnum package, log lift, the GX 390 motor, and electric start. Because one of these days I'm going to get old and I ain't going to be able to pull the rope.
Yes, electric start. I never thought I would want it, but now that I've experienced it a few times, it's nice. Yeah. Now I see you got a Joe hat on and you got a Brad shirt on.
Yeah. So today, give a shout out to Brad at Firewood at the Furnace and Joe, Joe's Premium Firewood.
Hey guys. Now you were asking me about me watching other YouTube things. I talked a little bit about this, and I've mentioned this to other people that I started doing videos on YouTube because of Joe. I saw Joe's video and thought, I could do that. So he was like my inspiration. I know a lot of people, kind of don't get along with Joe because Joe's opinionated and he knows what he wants, and he knows what he likes, he's going to do what he wants to do, and that's fine. Everybody should be able to do their own thing. Yeah. And Joe's the reason why I started YouTube, so it's his fault. And then you got Brad's shirt on from Firewood at the Furnace. He's a recently retired law enforcement officer, which is pretty cool that he got to retire at an early age and then play with firewood. So now he went from a job that, I'm not saying he didn't work hard, but now he's really got to work hard.
But you get to enjoy what you're doing. Right. That's why I like firewood. Years and years ago, I lost my stepbrother, and it's affected me throughout my life, but I go out, I enjoy firewood, but it also can de-stress you.
Oh, absolutely.
You get to look at
nothing like manual labor to take the pressure
Yep.
off. Because your mind is focused on the work and doing it, not getting injured, and the energy you got to put
Yeah.
out into it. And it's no different than a guy that would say go lift weights or go running.
Yeah.
Except what we do produces something that you can use again. So
Yep.
it's like win-win.
And I like checking out different channels. I like supporting, as you can see, I like to support the different channels too.
Sorry, I got nothing to sell you.
Well, that's all right.
Someday
I'm getting a lot of
Someday I will.
a lot of
Someday.
entertainment here today.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. So your business, you started about 7 years ago. What kind of wood do you primarily get? What do you have?
So in our area, we have hedge, pecan.
So
oak.
hedge is Osage orange,
Orange,
for
yep.
people who don't know. And oak and pecan, and what else?
We have cherry, which is Richie's Outdoors favorite.
I like it too.
We have the hickory, mainly shagbark hickory, which I do see some people have around here. We have mulberry.
See, we don't have that at all. We don't have hedge either. Or pecan. Those like three we don't have here.
Yeah, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. And then
And you
pine.
do some pine, and you do sell pine, and,
yeah.
and people actually burn with pine, and their houses don't burn down.
Yeah, so I always instruct the customers on 2 different kinds of wood, actually 3. One of them I don't sell for indoors. It primarily goes for wood boiler, which is the Osage orange or hedge. I did have one customer called me, was not a customer at the time, but called me and said, I opened the door and I have all these fireflies coming out at me. I knew exactly what happened, and I came over and I said, this is Osage orange, you cannot do that. And I said, where's your wood pile? I wanted to make sure that she did not damage her her wood boiler, outdoor wood boiler. And I looked at the whole pile and it was all Osage orange. So
That was wood you sold her or something?
no, another customer before she was mine. And then I brought her some oak. And then later on, there was some hackberry that I occasionally get.
Hackberry's good wood.
She likes that. And, we kind of intermixed it. And she was able to use all 3 of them and get rid of her Osage orange, so she wasn't out the money.
Right.
Pecan is another thing that I go over with people. It tends to pop. So when I sell that to people, I make sure that they either have a glass door or they have a fence, because I don't want it popping out. Some people, their stone hearths are not that far out and it could catch on
the
fire.
carpet, yeah. We have a couple holes in our carpet at home.
And the pine, people say 16 or 12 months for seasoning. I usually let it go about 16 when I sell it, and it's good and dry. People don't have a problem with it. That's the biggest problem when people say that, oh man, my stuff is 20% moisture or under, you can burn it. Yes, you can. But are people really actually splitting right there in front of them and measuring it? Most people
Check the outside.
just check the outside and sell it. Well, pine, you can't do that.
Well, none
none
wood.
of it, you should
oak,
really-
Oak is like that too. I mean, you check the outside of oak, if you're down, say, 18, 19%,
The inside would
especially
be-
white oak or bur oak,
Bur oak.
any of the real dense ones, you split it down and check the inside, it can be 24, 25.
Yeah.
Because it dries so slow. It takes longer. And if you got big rounds, it's going to dry even slower.
Slower, yeah. And so the biggest thing about firewood is educating the customer, which on a lot of channels you'll see that. Knowing what you're selling, knowing the individual, like I heard you talk about, talking to the individual, you figure out their needs, and then it helps you build that relationship for the next year. With my business, I do the same thing. Sometimes I get talking too long and you're like, oh man.
You got to talk to people, though. You got to talk to people.
And
now, before you go any further, you were telling me about when you're selling your wood. Was it last year? You sold a lot of wood early, but then not a lot in the middle, and then this year people are late. So what's up with that?
So last year, Illinois, where I live, we didn't have a lot of snow.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm just kidding.
And also the cold weather, I was kind of shocked. I left at 16 degrees this morning, and I arrived at -1. And it's only going to get colder.
Tomorrow's supposed to be like they're saying in the teens below 0. So for you, it's going to be a 30-degree temperature change.
And
so we'll dress them warm tomorrow.
So last year we had a winter that came early. It's like we went from summer to winter. We didn't really have a fall. So people stocked up on their wood early, but then later in the winter time, it warmed up and they didn't use all their firewood, so they kept it and they burned it this year. Some people just want to keep selling them firewood. I like my customers to burn what they have, and then I bring it back. For the elderly people or the veterans that I help out, I will move their wood and I'll stack the new on the bottom, and then I'll stack the older stuff from the previous year on top.
I do it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if I get to a place and I know I've got 3 or 4 women that I know are 70 to 80 years old, and every time I get there and they think getting a face cord is getting a lot of wood, like it's a whole pickup load full, they're all excited. And I see they've got, like a third of a pile left, and I just tell them what I'm going to do, because I usually stack it for them.
Yeah.
Because most of the time I come back right to the pile. I'll take it and I just take it out of the rack. I put all my stuff in the bottom, put their stuff back on top. And I just say, burn this first because it's the oldest. I do that. And they like that. So yeah, you got to be nice to the people. I mean, there's certain people though that you just dump it and go.
Yeah. Most of my customers are all but I think 2 of them are just recreational burners. So they usually get just 1 face cord at a time.
Well, and the recreational burners are willing to pay more because they're literally burning money.
Yeah.
And they just want something to enjoy while they drink beer and watch TV.
I have one customer, they only want 50 sticks, and it's about an hour drive.
Oh, jeez.
And I explained to them, I'm like, I could go local gas station, and they used to do that, but when they saw the wood that I produced, it was a friend of mine, so I don't have a problem going over there. It's just the wood lasted longer. They're an upscale neighborhood. Money wasn't an issue to them, and a lot of times they would, you hear about people going to the barbecue place, they would feed you. Sometimes they'd feed me, sometimes we'd go out to eat. So, and I got to visit with them, so it was like, it really helped me out, helped them out. It was a win-win situation.
Yeah, you can't be all business all the time. I mean, I quite often will sit and chat with people, and especially if it's usually the elderly people that you're the first visitor in a week and they want to talk. So that's
and
what
you get the
do.
whole life story.
You get the life story. You want to pet the dog, talk to the do what you got to do. And if it's a younger family with kids, I always try to get the little kids to help with the wood somehow. I hand them pieces, or a lot of times if they're available or it's okay with the parents, I usually ask the parent, you want them to push the button and load the trailer. They love that. It's big. It's a real big thing, good thing to do.
So, and that's something where probably next year, maybe this year yet, like I said earlier, I sold my log splitter and my dump truck. I got the family farm dump truck. Some people have seen it floating around on Facebook. I do not have a YouTube channel. Right now I don't have time.
You don't want one. It's a lot of work.
I already have enough work. What I have is a 1-ton dump truck.
Nice.
Right now it has a farm grain bed. My dad used to use it. We used
How much can you get in it?
Stacking that, I can get a full cord and then a little bit extra. Now throw in on the grain bed on the 1-ton, throw in, I can get 2 cords, and it has a tarp on there, so I can tarp it.
You mean 2 face cords?
2 face cords, sorry, not 2 cords.
Yeah, if you prefer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know what a face cord is.
I don't have a dump trailer.
But the truck is nice. I mean, that way you got one vehicle and you can back up. I get asked all the time when I back up with my pickup, does this thing dump? It's like, right here. This is the dump. And I start chucking. The guy yesterday I delivered to it. He had backed up and he says, this thing dump? I says, it'll be off in 4 minutes. He says, what do you mean? I said, stay out of my way. He just laughed. He stayed out of the way. I had it off in 4 minutes. And
what I did, I came across what we call a rock bed, but it's a mason dump. It's a metal bed that fits on your truck. You can haul rock or whatever, dirt. I did buy a used one that I'm going to put on there and then sell the actual grain bed, just because it's got for the farm, helping Dad.
How much weight is it going to add?
It's about another 18 to 2,000 pounds. But
the truck can handle it though.
I have triple overload springs. I'm just not single, so it's a 1981 GMC big block with a 400 turbo.
Nice. So it gets good mileage.
Yeah, 8 miles to the gallon.
Oh man.
And a lot of people.
So then are you charging for deliveries? You charging people?
Yeah, I charge a flat rate delivery.
Because with that kind of mileage, you got to charge something.
I have a flat rate for like a face cord. A lot of veterans I'll help out. Some insist to pay. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll give them a rank and they'll pay for the next one. But in every delivery that I make outside of Redbud gets a delivery charge. And it's a flat rate for everybody. It doesn't matter if some people do by the miles, some people do, just a flat rate per town.
What's your farthest you go and what's like the closest?
I will drive an hour away, which some people, say it ain't worth it, but those are the customers that will refer people.
Then you're driving it more.
Yeah. And
maybe you should charge a little more then.
The main reason why I've done St. Louis is my primary job is in downtown St. Louis. So a lot of times
that's a good market.
I can drive to St. Louis, and there's other people that sell in St. Louis, but they're $30 higher than I am. And I'm, with my math, I do log everything, and I'm still making money at what I'm selling it as.
Yeah, but if the market will bear another $30, you should probably get closer.
A little bit more.
Within $10 anyway. Raise your prices another $20. You'd probably, and especially in a big city. In Chicago, what a full cord of wood, a full cord,
$600 or $800.
$800 for a full cord in Chicago, and it's, I'm thinking, man, I could deliver some wood in Chicago and probably, spend one day going there and back, and only delivering one load and making more money. But then you get all that road time, wear and tear.
There is a couple people for the St. Louis, Illinois folks that there's a company out of Perryville. They know that area that will drive all the way up to Chicago with a semi. And they usually have it gone in a weekend.
That video I did, if you saw that one I did, it's called Firewood Heaven. The guy that you need to watch the channel more, obviously. There's a guy that's north of here about an hour and a half, something like that, and it's called Frank's. And so he's a logger, and he has 70 people working for him.
Oh, wow.
They run 5 multi-tech lug processors all the time. Big
business, yep.
And he has between 3 and 4 semi-loads a day that go to Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Business.
Yeah, that's a serious business. On a job, I met a person who used to do all like face cords, cordwood, got into the bundle market and hit up, I don't know, he didn't give me the specs or anything like that. He kind of just told me a roundabout what he made getting out of cordwood to bundle wood. So the people out there that want to know, in the St. Louis market, this gentleman quit doing cordwood, went strictly to bundles, did a sales pitch at a lot of the gas stations and the local hardware stores in St. Louis, and his profit was like $150,000 over the cordwood.
Sure.
And it's a lot more work, but you get into it what you put into it. Or you get out of it what you put into it. Well, you got to
have a good system. You have to have a good system. And he's probably got people doing the bundling. They probably have really good fast machines. And
you got to have a supply.
Right, you have the supply. But he did the right thing. He went and sold it first. And that's what I had a guy just the other day asked me what I think he should do for his business. He's just getting going with it. And I told him, I said, start small, grow slow. Don't go in debt just to have a business, because it'll kill you. It'll just eat you up. I told him, I said, start with a small box store splitter, because he's doing everything by hand now.
Yeah, I started out by hand.
Yeah, I did too. But getting a splitter is definitely a must. So get a splitter, make sure you got a truck, and start delivering. Build up your clients. Yeah. And then take that money and then start buying better equipment.
And then if you're delivering, some people don't deliver, but if you're delivering and you set up a time, make sure you're there or arrive on time.
And let them know you're coming. Yeah. Make sure you call or text. Make sure they're going to be there. I've had that happen a couple of times. Like, oh, today's the day. So that's why I text and say, yes, I'm loaded right now. I'm on my way. Okay, I'll leave work now, because they forgot about it. Happens once in a while, but people just want to have the communication. So that's
so they
real
can plan
important.
their day and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you want to not get, you want to show up.
You can plan your day. Like some days, I'll start out and I'll deliver local, and then I'll hit the St. Louis market. Or if I got like 2 or 3 people that are in the St. Louis market, I'll just plan my day and I'll hit them up. And that's the way I try to run. I do about 20 cords a year, some more, some less. I try to, have extra on hand.
That's kind of what you want to stay? That's enough, because you're busy with stuff.
Yeah, I got different things on the farm. I have a primary job. I'm rehabbing a house. It's 130 years old. So I have hand-hewn beams that are in my house that were done by the original owners. The grandson and the grandkids were the ones who sold it to me. That's been a working project. I cut my own firewood.
That's going to be a major project.
Yeah.
And you burn wood yourself for heating?
I do not.
Oh, I don't either.
So a funny story.
Everybody assumes I do. It's auxiliary heating. We burn it in a fireplace and a fire pit. Because,
I burn it in a fire pit.
Yeah, we do that too. But yeah, and it's not that I wouldn't want to heat with wood, but man, it cuts into your supply.
Yeah, in the house there was 6 fireplaces, and
geez.
they were double stacked. So if you had a room here and there's a fireplace, it went up into the next room. That's how they heat at their house.
Right.
There was no indoor plumbing at first. I still have the outhouse on the property that I'm going to keep, and I'm going to actually use some of the old barn wood that I saved to make a outhouse out of it. The outhouse cistern, whatever you call it, is still there. So
How much do you have woods and stuff you can cut? Or is that what you're doing on? So when you were mentioning before about cutting firewood on farms, you're doing a lot of tree lines.
My line of work, what I do, we have right now 1,200 acres. We're scaling back. My dad is retired, and some of them farms are going to go back to like a different landlord, and they'll find somebody else. It's what we farm, not what we, all own. The woods that I get out of is, you guys would call it a woods, I call it like a ditch line. The wood's spread out, but there's a creek that runs through it, and we're cutting back to produce more farmland. That was one of the reasons why I got into firewood again, more or less, to sell it instead of just burning it. Like I've cut trees a long time, like I said earlier, but I saw money there. I also have a stash of milled lumber. I look at a tree and I go, okay, I can get a saw log out of this, and then the rest can go to firewood, and that's what I do.
That's a good way to look at it.
I cut everything down to limbwood of 3 inches. Some people don't like limbwood, but all my customers, they like limbwood.
Burns great. Yeah, there's a lot of heat in limbwood. People don't realize limbwood generally has slower growth. And you got more bark, so you got that natural fire starter on there. There's nothing at all wrong with limbwood.
And I see a lot of people that chuck crotches, but that was one of the reasons why I bought the splitter that I did, because you have to read the grain, and if you can read the grain, you can normally get nice pieces out of there.
Right.
And then you tell the customer, do not throw this on at like 11 o'clock because that's going to burn all night.
That's where a lot of people that are big time operators, they don't like crotches because they require extra work. But if you're burning wood, especially if you've got a wood boiler or a wood stove, those crotches are the best.
Yeah.
Because really what it is it's a crotch in the tree, and they're trying to hang on to each other, so it's tighter grain
and twisted.
There's a lot of density to that wood.
And that's the main thing. Once you be able to read, the wood, it'll help with your splitting, cut down. And not everybody realizes that, but it might slow you down a little bit. But since I don't burn besides outdoor boiler, and I don't like people have boiler customers, I don't really have that because, like I said earlier, a lot of people have the outdoor wood boilers. They cut their own wood. The only time I have one customer that has one, and about every other year, especially when it's cold out, like last year it was cold out, he didn't get out early enough to get a lot of wood.
That's why you get boiler people, like they're running out of wood is what happens. Yeah.
And he called me, and I hooked him up with just rounds that they chuck in there, and they were all, some people are like, well, they've been sitting out there a year, they're not seasoned. But for a boiler outside, you'll cook off a little bit of the water, but a lot of it's, a lot of the water's out, but there's still some in there.
So of all the wood you guys have, what's your favorite, and what do you sell the most of?
I have 2 favorites. I'm going to go with Richie's Outdoors and Cherry. It has an awesome flame. Pine has an awesome flame, but I like cherry and I like oak. My customers don't care. I don't like if I have certain ones that just want strictly oak, so I separate it.
Right.
But I have a spreadsheet that most of them just take whatever you want to bring.
It depends on the time of year, I found.
Yeah.
When you get later in the winter, usually they're running out themselves, or they can't find anybody. You get a new customer because their regular guy doesn't have any, and they usually will say their preference, but I'll take whatever you got. I hear that a lot. Yeah,
and I get that too. I've been a lot better with separating my species. What I do is I have pallets laid down. It's like next to an open field, and I have the wind hitting it right, usually out of the east southeast area, and the west is open. It's open to the south. So I pretty much, I have it wide open, kind of like what you have out here.
A lot of people don't realize you don't want shade, and
Yeah.
you want it to be in the open as much as possible. Wind and sun are the best drying
Yeah.
there is.
And so I stack on pallets. I run a 7-foot T-post in the ground. We had some left over from, when my grandma had cattle a long time ago. Some people get rid of them. I find them on
So
Marketplace.
if you're on pallets then and you're in T-post, are you reusing the same spots? Do you clear it off? Do you pull the pallets off, take the debris off? Or are you just restacking right away? What are you doing?
So what I do is most of I cut my trees down of winter, so it does play a role when I'm trying to deliver. The people that get their logs all year round, it's a little bit different operation. So like today, if I was able to go out and cut my own trees down right now, I just have fully been released to go back to work February 2nd from COVID-19 and pneumonia, so that's a great thing. But I would have preferred to be out cutting today because one, sap's down, and it's cold outside, so you can get all the logs in and out.
A lot of people that live in the southern states don't realize, because I had a guy ask me on the channel a while back, so I suppose it's wintertime now, you're just kind of chomping at the bit to get outside and cut and split. Like, no, now's the best time.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, and
The colder the better. Split's easier. When you're working, you stay warm. It's just, although tomorrow will be a challenge, because tomorrow, he's a glutton for punishment. He's coming back. We're going to go outside and do some work. So we're either going to cut, or we're going to split, or we're going to stack. Or maybe we'll do all three.
A little bit of each. And so, to give you an idea, yesterday at home, it was 50 degrees.
50 degrees. That's ridiculous.
And it was -1 when I got up here this morning.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
So that's it for today, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to us chit chat. Hopefully it was entertaining for you. Tomorrow we're going to be outside doing some cutting between now and then, because you're going to come back. I know you will. Get outside, get cutting.
Good night, Irene.